Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming. So we're here to talk about certification, both our federal program and our local programs, okay? So just quickly to go over the certification types that we have a minority MBE, minority-owned business enterprise, woman-owned business enterprise. We have BEPD, which is business enterprise owned and or operated by a person with disability. Then we have DBE, which is disadvantaged business enterprise, and ACDBE, which is airport concession disadvantaged business enterprise. Okay, so to go a little bit over who we are, the Department of Procurement Services is the contracting authority of the City of Chicago. We procure all goods and services, and we work together as a team and with our customers and guarantee an open, fair, and timely process to establish communication and enforcing superior business practices. Give me 1 sec. Okay, so DPS is committed to providing information, resources, and tools to assist you in your efforts to compete for City of Chicago contracting opportunities. Among those tools, we accept new applications for certification, annual no-change affidavits, and recertification applications every 5 years. Continuing on what we do, we contract compliance with negotiated contractual MWDBE participation goals. So pretty much what that means is once you are part of a contract, we also make sure that everything on that contract is being met. So for instance, if you're a subcontractor to a prime, we make sure that the prime is actually paid the subcontractor. Now granted, sometimes there's issues. We are not here to represent anyone. We just try to make sure that that the contract's being followed the way it's supposed to be. Okay? And we also set standards for contract participation for MWBE as well as DBE and ACDBE. So for instance, as it stands now, we currently about somewhere between 24 and 26% minority-owned business enterprise participation, and between 4.5 and 5.5 or 6 on women-owned business enterprise participation. And we assist vendors through our websites, which is www.cityofchicago.org/procurement and chicago.mwdbe.com. Okay, we're going to go into benefits of certification. So the benefits of certification is it provides visibility. Once you're certified through the City of Chicago, you will be put in our certified firms directory. So anyone that's looking for a company that does the type of services that you do can go into this directory and find you there, if that's what they choose to do. And again, we'll touch again on the fact that we seek minority and women-owned business participation in most of our contracts. And there are businesses in the private sectors also that seek out certified firms. So for instance, people like Target, Walmart, and these big companies are also looking for diversity goals. So they also seek people that are certified as a woman-owned business or minority-owned business. Okay? The City of Chicago also has a target market program which provides exclusive bidding to certified firms. This allows the certified firm to, this allows the certified firm to be the only business in the on the contract, which means you don't have to share any of the monies accumulated by this contract, so you'll keep everything and you'll be fully in charge. These are for our smaller contracts. Before we award a contract, we want to make sure that you actually have the capability, the ability, the equipment, and the know-how to perform the work. We don't. The last thing we want to do is set a small business up for failure as well, you know. But even with that being said, you know, nothing in this world is guaranteed. So everything we always have to put on all of our parts, our efforts. Now, in order to qualify for these programs, these are the predisposed ethnic groups or genders or physical, just the predisposed qualifying groups, which is African American, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, woman, persons with disability, and other individuals who can prove social and economic disadvantage. Okay, so if you're a person with disabilities, the Department of Procurement Services does not engage in figuring out whether you have a disability or not. You would have to go to the Mayor's Office of Peoples with Disability and submit an application for Schedule G. And then they will give you a certificate letting you know whether you qualify or not based on your disability. Once we get that certificate, then we can move ahead with the BEPD certification. Now, if you are not a member of these groups that I just mentioned, you can still apply for certification, and you can file what we call an affidavit of social disadvantage. When you file an affidavit of social disadvantage, you are, in a sense, letting us know that because of something that happened to you, you are disadvantaged in the business world. But this is a little bit more complicated, and you don't see it as much in the city. Okay, in order to qualify as well, you have to be what we consider a local business. A local business is within our 6-county region. We have Cook, DuPage, Kane, Lake, McHenry, and Will. Now, if you're not in these counties, you don't qualify. Now, some companies, what they try to do is they try to have 2 or 3 employees in Cook County, but they have 10 employees in Florida. They won't qualify. They have to be, the majority of your workforce has to be in the 6-county region, and your headquarters pretty much has to be in the 6-county region. Now, for DBE and ACDBE, this is a federal program, and to qualify, you could be anywhere in Illinois. Now, 51% of the company has to be controlled and managed by minority, women, or persons with disability, or someone who is socially or economically disadvantaged. This is very important. When it says 51% owned and controlled and managed, that's very important. It has to be controlled and managed. So for instance, if I'm going to start an engineering firm, but I've never been an engineer, and I have someone else that's an engineer that doesn't qualify for the program, am I really in control of the business? Probably not. Probably the person that has the engineering degree and the license is probably in control, right? And that will definitely be denied. Not just because I own 51 or 60% of it and I'm a minority, automatically qualifies me. Okay, we also have some other standards, which is an established business. If you're a non-construction company and you average more than 37.74 million over 3 years, you do not qualify for the program. If you're a construction company, it all depends on the type of work that you do. So for example, the SBA standard for an electrical company is $15 million. So if you average $15 million over the last 5 years, you are considered too big for the program. So you will not qualify. For DBE, it's the same SBA standards apply, but this one, it doesn't matter whether you're construction or not, or construction. SBA size limits rule unless the size limits are bigger than 22.4 million. If your 3-year average is more than 22.4 million, you will not qualify for DBE. ACDBE follows one number, which is 56.42 million over 3 years. And the reason for that is people that are at the airport concession, they get a lot of traffic, but they also have a lot of overhead. So the federal government takes that into account when they are submitting these standards, size limits. Now, the application process. Everything must be done electronically now. We are not accepting hard copy applications anymore. We started this January 1st of 2016. Now we still once in a while get an application here, an application there, but we quickly call the vendor and let them know that we're not accepting it, and we return it back. Okay. Now, you can find the electronic application at chicago.mwdbe.com. There is a $250 fee. Right now, we are trying to work so you can make that payment right there electronically. But as of right now, we do not have that opportunity, so you guys do have to mail in a check. But it has to be either a certified check, money order, or cashier's check. We do not accept personal checks, whether it's for a company or whether it's for you as an individual. It has to be a cashier's check, money order, or certified check. For the DBE, ACDBE, and BEPD, there is no charge. And just, be sure that you submit all supporting documentation, because that's going to be the biggest reason why it would take you so long to get certified. And we'll get more into details on that a little bit later. So part of the information that we're going to ask from you, we're going to ask basic contact information, type of certification you are seeking, and it all depends. So MBE and WB. So if you're a woman and a minority, be sure that you click on minority and woman owned, because sometimes we've had instances where somebody is a minority and only click on woman. We can't assume that they want to apply for minority as well. That should be something that you require. And again, for BEPD, you will have to submit a Schedule G form, and that would be at the Mayor's Office of People with Disability. We're going to ask for your ownership information. With ownership information, we want to know about how you started the business, what kind of money that you use, where did that money come from, where did the money come from to buy your equipment to start your company. So if you're a truck driver, how did you pay for that truck? We want to make sure that you are an independent business, that Lindahl Trucking didn't give you $50,000 to buy a truck, and not that that's not a good idea. I mean, I would take the truck, but what I'm saying is we want to make sure that you're an independently run company, okay? And then we have, we're also going to ask for employee information. Again, employee information, we want to make sure that you are in control of your employees. And I'll use the example again. If I'm a engineering company, but I've never worked in the engineering field, and then I have members in my staff who are licensed engineers who may not qualify for the program, that's a red flag for us as well. Because does that show that I'm really in control of the company? I'm depending too much on this individual. And then we have facility information. This sounds crazy, but we ask for, for a lease. Where are you doing your business? But we, again, want to make sure that you don't have a little closet in an office of a firm that does something exactly the same as you do, but, now all of a sudden you have a little room in this office. Okay, we want to make sure that, again, all this is to show that you're independent and that you are not being put in a bad situation. We'll just say it that way. And then we ask for your financial information. With the financial information, we'll be able to tell, like, we'll see some things. We look for some things, see what, make sure you qualify for the program. And then we ask for licenses. So licensing, most businesses just require a limited business, I believe, license. But there are some that require specialized licenses. So for instance, electricians, they need to have a license. Masons need to have a license. Engineers, lawyers. So if you need a license, if your industry requires a license, you will have to have a license. And there's no way around that. And for the most part, not necessarily all the time, but for the most part, the owner of the company should be the one that carries the license. So again, if I'm gonna apply to be an electrician, I should be the electrician holding the Type A card. But there are some exceptions to that, and sometimes you do have businesses that grow big enough to where that's no longer the biggest issue of the small company, right? Because you can always hire an electrician, but that has to be demonstrated over time. Experience, we want to see your resume. We want to see your professional associations, the list of all the equipment that you have. We want to know the type of leases that you have for equipment or for just spaces and things like that. All these things show us, give us an insight on, on you as an individual. How experienced are you? How involved are you in the business? So all this helps us, again, to establish the independence that is very important when it comes to certification. We need contract information. Now, with contract information, we want your pending contract, past contracts, invoices, purchase orders. I've had people submit contracts, and then I asked them for the checks, showing me that they got paid, and then they're fake, So let's not do that, because it's easy to tell. Remember that we do this every day. We do this every day and all the time. So we will. There are telltale signs on everything that we do. All right. So now, one of the big questions is, what type of business how do I get certified? What do I need? You just technically need to be a legal entity. Regardless of what you do, it just has to be a legal entity. So for instance, you could be a sole proprietor and just have your assumed name certificate, general partnership. If you are in a partnership, we do want to see that partnership agreement. The partnership agreement will tell us a little bit about your interest in the company, but also not just that, also your capital contributions. Again, you can do the limited partnership with an assumed name, or you can with a certificate of limited partnership. But for the most part, most people either incorporate or have an LLC. Okay, so a corporation is is treated as an entity completely separate from its stakeholders. It allows others to invest in the business without being liable of debts. If you are incorporated, we are going to need a lot of information from you on how you set up your corporation. So we will always check with the Secretary of State to make sure that you're in good standings and still legal, a business that's in good standings. We're going to want your articles of incorporation, certificate of incorporation if you have, bylaws of your corporation, copies of all stock certificates issued, and meeting minutes. Okay, so we will require all this if you're a corporation. Now, if you're a limited liability company, we want to see sometimes there's single member LLCs, and that's okay. We still prefer to see some type of operating agreement, but if you don't and you provide a good enough case on why you don't have one, it's understandable. And I mean, we know we're not here to tell you exactly how to set up your business or how to do what you do. But if you're not a single member LLC, we definitely need a operating agreement. And you also have to maintain you have to have the articles of organization. And you're gonna also have to have make sure that you're in good standings with the state, okay? Those are the two more basic and more that you see more often. You see sole proprietors here and there, but for the most part, those are it. Questions at the end? Okay. Now suppliers. Now we're gonna go into one industry in particular, which is the industry of suppliers. Suppliers is a very sensitive topic when it comes to certification. Anytime that you're going to be certified as a supplier, we are definitely going to do a site visit for sure. We're going to go see where you do your business. The definition that the city has for a supplier is a supplier must be a regular dealer, which is a firm that owns, operates, or maintains a store, warehouse, or other establishment in which materials, supplies, articles, or equipment are bought, kept in stock, and regularly sold or leased to the public in the usual course of business. Okay? So if I'm a supplier according to what the city defines it, and you call me and you say, I need 20 filters, I can go to the back and say, oh, look, I only have 15 now. I'll place an order for another 5. But I have to be able to go to the back and have this inventory, okay? It's very important that you guys understand this, because this is one of the industries where a lot of denials occur. So then we have a distributor. A distributor is a firm operating, firms operating as a distributor are identified as having a direct relationship with a manufacturer to distribute its goods and products within a specified territory or region. The goods and/or products are not available or sold to the general public. So if you're a distributor, that's okay as well. So I mean, you have an agreement with, I don't know, CLE mattresses, and you are the only authorized dealer in the city of Chicago, and you have this distributor agreement, understandable. So technically, you don't really have to have 500 mattresses in the back. Have your display, people want to get it, you deliver it straight from the manufacturer. That's okay, because there's a reason why there's legal documentation showing that you have the rights to sell in that area, and you alone have the right to sell in that area. Now, a broker. Firms acting as a broker are not eligible for certification as MBE or WBE. You are eligible to be certified as a broker for DBE and ACDBE. Okay? So according to the definition of the city has for a broker is a person or entity that fills order by purchasing or receiving supplies from a third-party supplier rather than out of its own existing inventory, and provides no substantial service other than acting as a conduit between his or her supplier and his or her customer is a broker. So now you come to me and you say, I need 15 filters. And I say, okay, hold on, let me call Granger real quick. Hey, you guys have 15 filters? This is the one I want. Okay, deliver it to this. I'm a broker. There's no commercial use function according to what the city believes, okay? So we want to make sure that if you're a supplier, that you follow within those guidelines, okay? It's, I mean, this industry is important enough to where we dedicate a little bit of time to discuss it. So that's pretty much it on that topic. So now we'll talk about after the application is submitted. Right now, we've been able to get down to trying to get every application out once it is assigned to an officer or received. Actually, let me rephrase that. Once the city accepts your application, we're doing our best to keep it under 90 days. Okay, and most of the times, what delays these applications is if we request more information. So, for instance, if I'm reviewing your application and I realize that we're missing information, like, okay, well, you know, they submitted these 3 contracts. Now I want to see, hey, can you send me the canceled checks showing that you received payment for this? Or show me the checks that you used to purchase this piece of machine or this equipment, this, that. So when we ask all those questions, and if you guys take a long time to respond, that really drags out the process. So the faster you can respond, the better, because that way we can just keep moving forward. Now, your application is checked to make sure we have all documents. Before we accept an application, we do take a glance to make sure that specific documents are there. But once the officer really gets in, you know, really digs and, you know, does what they have to do, we will realize that there's most likely more information that is needed. Okay, so, and like I said earlier, you may receive a site visit as well. So if you are a construction company, you will definitely get a site visit. If you are a supplier, you will definitely get a site visit. Now, me personally, I request site visits as well for trucking companies. I request site visit for manufacturers, because I want to see that the you know, the equipment is there. If it's a trucking company, I want to see that you actually have your truck. It's your truck. You wouldn't believe, I've seen where they pull a magnet on the side and then you take it off and it's like, oh wait, hold on, what company is this? And you're just like, it's weird, just weird. Or you go to the lot where they keep their truck, and there's one truck and 100 of a different company. It's like, really? Like, come on. So, you know, that's why we do site visits. So when we do our site visits, make sure that you guys are readily available. The site visit will take no more than an hour at most. Sometimes a little bit longer, but very, very, very rare. Okay? If approved, your certification will last for 5 years. Now, we do have what we call an expedited process, but it really isn't expedited. It doesn't go any faster. What it is a recognition of an outside certification with the CMSDC, which is the Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council. And the reason why we call it an expedited process is because it requires less documents. So what we're doing is we're trusting that CMSDC did their due diligence and was able to, without a doubt, say that you can do the work. So all we really do is check more the financial. Now, today we had a meeting with my manager, and she said that they reached an agreement also with the Women's Development Council. So if you're certified through them, we're gonna be accepting theirs as well for this process. Now here's the thing though. If you're certified as a minority, if you're using this application for minority and you're a woman and a minority, you can only use it for minority. Or if you have it as a W with the Women's Council, you can only use it as a woman. So you would have to fill out this plus a new application for the other if you don't have both certifications already. All right. So then, maintaining certification. So you're certified, your certification is good for 5 years. What do? Just sit back and wait until I get a contract. Okay, so first and foremost, you guys know the deal with getting contracts, but maintaining your certification, you have to submit what we call an annual no change affidavit. The no change affidavit every year will tell us whether there was significant changes that affect your eligibility in the program. If there is none, just hit no, no, no. It literally takes 5 minutes. But the problem is, if you don't do it, you can lose your certification. We can begin to decertify. Now, when we look in the no change affidavit, you're going to notify us whether there's organizational changes, that the business name change, that you sell part of your company to someone else. But you can also always send us that information as it happens. So for instance, if I have my company and then all of a sudden I get my brother is going to buy 50% of it, so now it's going to be 50-50, I have to let the city know. Look, my brother's buying 50% of the company. Why is this important? Because my brother might be a millionaire. And for construction companies, there's a personal net worth limit. You can't, so if he's worth more than 2.23 million, he won't qualify for the program, right? Or my brother may be the owner of a construction company that does exactly the same thing as I do, but their gross receipts over the average of 5 years is $59 million. So then I won't qualify for the program anymore, right? So that's why we need to know all these things. And the reason why we're so strict and so passionate about this is because we want the people that do qualify for these programs to actually take advantage of them. These programs are not here to find the loopholes. They're not here to see, oh, well, let's do this, let's do that. If we get my sister over here, she's Hispanic and a woman, we get the M and W. No, that's not the point. The point is to be honest and do this right. Now, every 5 years you have to submit a recertification application. Recertification application has been revamped, so it's kind of a no change affidavit with a little bit more information. It's I mean, if you're highly organized, it'll take you about 2 hours to complete, if that. Okay. So now let's make an assumption that you guys get certified, right? And you guys get certified as engineers. And then you're like, oh my God, I should have gotten certified as a business consultant because I also have an MBA. I wasn't thinking. You could submit for an expansion of your services. So it's a different application, it's shorter, it's like a miniature certification application. It's gonna ask you for some contracts, your background experience on this, but you can definitely get certified in them as well. If it requires additional licenses and things like that, okay? Now, our certification is accepted by all of our sister agencies. Our sister agencies include CPS, Chicago Public Schools, Cook County. Okay, so let me talk about Cook County a little bit. If you guys are certified with Cook County, you do not have to be certified with the City of Chicago because the City of Chicago recognizes Cook County certification as if it was ours. And the other way around as well. Cook County accepts our certification as if it was theirs as well. So you will only be certified with either Cook County or City of Chicago. Okay. And then we have like Chicago Park District, Public Building Commission, Chicago Housing Authority, Chicago Transit Authority, city colleges, Metropolitan Pier Exhibition Authority, Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. Okay, so all of these companies, or all of these entities, which are within the City of Chicago guidelines and rule per se, they have their own departments of procurement, but they do not certify. So they look to our certification, okay? Top 10 reasons why people get denied. So unsubstantiated or questionable ownership and control, like I've been talking about this whole time. It's easier than a lot of people may think to figure out whether there is, because I mean, to a full certainty, nobody, I mean, it'll be very difficult to say, I swear on everything that this is what's happening, right? We make our assumption based on what we have in front of us. But there are a lot of things that will give us, red flags. There are things in your taxes, in your company taxes, and in the formation of your company, and the money that you use to start it up, who you buy your equipment from. All those things will let us know, wait, what's going on? He bought his equipment from this person, but I just saw over here that they received a huge payment from this person. So, you connect the dots and it starts creating a pattern. Then unclear description of critical functions and who is responsible. So this is kind of like the engineering example that I gave you. I want to be an engineering company, but I'm not an engineer. But my employee is an engineer, but my employee doesn't qualify for the program because he's of Italian descent. So he doesn't qualify for it, and he's a male. Or it's a woman, and I'm applying for minority, right? That's the critical function. Also, being able to explain exactly what you do. I've had people who are asking for codes that I'm like, wait, hold on. Like, can you actually do this? And then they explain to me what they're actually doing, and it's something completely different. So be sure that whenever you do apply for certification, you're picking the correct NACES codes. Because that will delay your application a lot. If we can't figure out exactly what you're doing, it's going to be difficult for us to get through the application quickly. Okay? The company cannot show where they got the money to start from, right? So how did you start your company? Well, I got a loan from my grandfather. And then your grandfather is a multi-billionaire, right? And it happens. I'm not lying. It happens. It's like, well, can I see the loan? Oh, well, it was just word of mouth. Wait, if it's word of mouth, how can we know that this is actually a loan and not a gift? Because there's also gifting restrictions on everything that you do for certification, okay? Now, outside secondary employment takes majority of the owner's time. So if I want to be a construction company owner, concrete, let's say a mason, want to be a mason, I have the license to be a mason, I'm good, right? I'm a minority. I started my company. I can show, look, here's the check. I took it out of my 401k. Boom, right? Am I certifiable? No, because, oh, wait, but you're working for this company full time, so when do you do your work? Right? So you have to, but now let's say I'm a marketing consultant and I work for a big marketing company in Chicago, 9 to 5, right? I can make an argument like, well, I meet with my customers at 6, and I work from 6 to 10 every day, and I work on the weekends. So you see, it all depends on the industry. Some industries, it will be completely acceptable that you have full-time employment outside of here. And other times it will not be. So now the company is not located in the 6-county region. We talked about this a little bit earlier. So a lot of times, and you know, that's another big reason why we always ask for employee information. We want to see where your employees live. You know, we want to see, wait, hold on, why do we have, out of these 10 employees, 15 of them live in Indiana, in Whiting, Indiana? Oh, because 6 of them live there because you have your biggest contractors in Whiting, Indiana, and the majority of your workforce is outside our 6-county region, so you don't qualify for the program. Okay? Point of contact did not respond to requests for information in a timely manner. When we send you a request for information, answer it as soon as possible, because it may seem like it's simple, and 90% of the times it is, but sometimes there's going to be that one document that you have to call the city of Chicago or the state, and you know, it takes time when you're trying to get information from government entities. And it's not that we don't want to do it quickly, we would love to, but there are certain processes that we have to follow. And unfortunately, there's nothing that can be done with that. I'll give you an example. So for instance, I told you earlier that you have to be a viable company. So if you're a corporation or you're a limited liability company, you have to be in good standings with the state. So I forget to pay my taxes with the state. So now I'm not in good standings. It takes like 2 to 3 months to fix that. And we will not give a 2 to 3 month extension. You will be decertified. And then if you're decertified, you have to wait 1 year before you can apply again. So that's why it's important to, you know, keep everything up to date. And whenever you get a request for information, you respond right away. Oh, that's not good. I was like, something's happening outside. All right, so then we have inconsistencies with the applicant firm amongst names and various documents. I've had people apply and send me documents for Francisco Nunez Incorporated, and then some of them are Francisco Nunez LLC. Why? I don't know, but they don't get very far. They get denied right away. Missing contracts, not being able to produce canceled checks. You know, I had a $10 million contract. Oh, wow. For a one-person operation, that's very good. Can I see the check? Oh, that was a mistake. It was a bid. Okay. Right? So make sure that you guys are as truthful as possible. Everybody, most people, I'm the one that's been there the least amount of time. And it's 2 years now, but I've done tax auditing for a while. So, you know, it's not something that I just started now. So, I mean, we're going to catch on to these things. And again, it's all for the integrity of the program, the integrity of you guys. We want to make sure that the people that deserve to be in the program are the ones that are getting certified. You know, a lot of times people get mad at us because of all the information we require. But then when I tell them that, they're like, I guess you're right. I mean, if you're making it difficult for me, I'm a legitimate business that qualifies for this program, you're not going to let someone else that doesn't qualify for this program get away with it. Now, granted, does that mean that everyone in the program is? I don't know. I can't answer that question, because one person may say something, the other person may say, we don't know, you know. But there's always ways that you guys can identify any type of fraud that you guys think. You guys can always contact the Inspector General, and they'll take it from there. But okay, so then tax returns are very important. When we have required documents and you don't submit them, that's another reason why you would be denied. Now, say for instance, if I start my company today and I fill out my application tomorrow to be certified. The application asks for 3 years of tax returns. I'm not going to have for corporate tax returns, right? Completely understandable. Write a little note saying this is not applicable because I started my company this year, therefore I have never filed corporate tax returns. Understandable. So if something that we require is not available for a legitimate reason, we understand that. I know it's a lot of information that we're trying to cram into 48 minutes, but all of this is, it's a snapshot of what the journey to becoming certified is, okay? And if you have any questions, you guys can always come to the 8th floor. We're in room 806, or you can call our line 312-744-4900. And also, just know that there is other agencies outside of the city of Chicago that are able to assist you. If you need help with your application, we just got a consultant who is actually in our BACP office upstairs, room 800, who will help you to a certain extent on your application, but you can go up there and speak to her. Her name's Stephanie Edmond, okay? And she's here Monday through Friday, I believe 9 to 5. But we'll double check on that. If you want to double check on that, give us a call at 312-744-4900, and we'll definitely give you her direct line number, and we'll help you out as much as we can. Okay, so now we're going to open it up for questions. As you say the question, I will repeat the question, so if anybody's watching us on YouTube, they understand what I'm answering. So, okay, we'll start. Oh, no, so sole proprietor, okay, the question is what's the difference between sole proprietor and LLC incorporated? It's just, the difference is just a formation. And you do whatever, for certification purposes, there is no preference. We don't, however you form your company, you form your company. That's more of a question for you personally, what works best for you.
No, that's not my question. You were saying there were requirements for the cert with those two.
Okay, so a sole proprietor does not exist outside of the individual themselves. So if I'm a sole proprietor, I'm doing business as Nunez Consulting. My social security number that's the formation, that's all. Okay. Now, for an LLC, you have to incorporate, you have to go to the state, you have to file articles. So that's the differences, and that's why for certain formations, we require some documents. Other formations, they don't exist, and some they do. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Sure. What exactly does the consultant help you with? Do they go through each document, and do you know what the costs are for using that?
No, so the consultant is free of charge. No, the consultant will not advise you. They are there to help you with technical aspects and to upload information. So they will not consult you on or advise you on how to answer a question or nothing like that. They'll clarify on what the question's asking, but they won't tell you, oh no, don't answer that way, answer this way. They won't do that.
Right, but will they be able to check your documents to make sure that you filled them out correctly?
Correct, yes, they'll make sure that everything's filled out, completely filled out, and that all documents are complete. So for instance, tax returns is a big thing. A lot of times people submit their tax returns, but they don't submit the schedules. But your tax returns are showing, oh, see Schedule 1, see Schedule 11 for this and that. And then those schedules are attached. So yes, the consultant will be able to make sure that everything is complete.
And you said it's free?
Everything's filled out, and it's free,
okay.
Yes, no charge.
Ask. Everything is submitted electronically now. So once you submit everything, what's the time frame?
Okay, so you submitted everything, you signed it and submitted it to the city. We receive your $250 check payment, and now our intake officer is going to take a look at it, make sure that certain documents are there, because that makes it complete enough for the city to receive them, right? So now if the city receives them within 5 days, it'll be assigned to an officer. Now that officer will be able to give you a more clear timetable, but the city is trying to get them out within 90 days. Within 90 days is real good. You know, we've been working very, very hard to bring that number down, and right now it's around 90 days. It could go up to 120, but again, all that also depends on whether you submitted all the documents and whether you're responding to the request for information, okay?
Is there a place that we can go where we can identify what bids are available and what the criteria is?
So the question is on the bids. So the next class is going to be doing business with the city. So I recommend that any of you that want to get city contracts stay for that one. But the city website, www.cityofchicago.org/procurement, does have a tab that titled Bid Opportunities, and everything will be posted there. It'll have all the details, and it'll have the contract administrator as well. So if you have any specific questions, you can reach out to them. /procurement, correct.
If you're a startup construction firm and you clearly don't have any practice in your company, you're a startup, and you want to apply for a BEPD or ACDBE, and you stated that some of the requirements is practice of the company, just basically use your own personal certifications and
Correct. That is what we're going to look at. We're going to look at your work history. We're going to look at your credentials as an individual. So you'll submit a resume, and you'll say, I was a project manager for Walsh Construction for 5 years. We're going to call Walsh Construction maybe and see, hey, did this person work there? And then they'll say, yes, they worked here. Okay, good. So that checks that you actually were a project manager and doing the stuff that you are getting certified in.
as far as your capability as a woman, you have a truck, you have necessity. The machinery and equipment to do small bid orders, but you don't have a real brick and mortar. Yeah, you have a place where the city is acceptable within the zone, but it's not your true brick and mortar where you're trying to go.
Yes. So, for instance, we have a lot of companies that have home offices. That's completely acceptable. Now, granted, if you have a truck and you're a truck driver, you have to have somewhere where you park your truck. So we would want to know, where do you park your truck? But and a lot of trucking firms actually, they don't have the brick and mortar like you said. They'll use their home as their office. I mean, really, do you really need to have commercial space to run a trucking company? I mean, depends, I guess, how many you have or whatnot. But we do understand that a small business is not necessarily going to fall into this mainstream of what a Walmart is, or have a corporate building office or a fancy. A lot of people are actually, what they're doing? They're doing the virtual offices. Yeah, so the virtual offices are acceptable.
But it's not acceptable with the city of Chicago when you're applying for the contractor. Application to be certified contractor with the city because they require certain zoning issues that you have to meet in order to be accepted.
No. We do accept virtual offices. What we wouldn't accept is if you have a virtual office here in the city of Chicago and you actually live outside of the 6-county region or in a different state. Because anybody can have so for instance, just give you an example, real quick example. Your tax returns, right? If your tax returns say Kenosha, Wisconsin, obviously you're in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Just because you have a virtual office in Chicago doesn't make you a local business.
Okay, so I have a question about, is this a certain start point for applications beginning and deadline, or is this an ongoing process? So is there like, we can only find January?
No, ongoing process. Whenever you want. Once you start your application, you can save it and continue it at a later time. Okay, and it gives you, I think, 6 months. I think it might be 6 months. But if you need additional time, we can extend it. We're almost running out of time. I have time for this one, but I'm gonna stick around. So if you guys have questions, you guys can come ask me afterwards.
For some of like the mandatory documents, so like for an LLC, if you don't have, like one of them was your board of directors meeting minutes, things like that. If you don't have a board of directors with the meeting minutes, but it's a mandatory document, how do you go about
So,
turning that in without just saying like, well, that's
well, you know, I know it sounds crazy, but minutes. Corporations require you to have minutes. Even if you're a single board member, you still have to have minutes, and you're the secretary, you're the everything. You sign the piece of paper. It's really not a meeting. It's maybe a meeting in your head.
okay.
But we all have meetings in our head, right? But yes, you definitely need minutes. It's a mandatory for corporations. LLCs not really, unless that's something you choose to do. But like I said, even with LLCs, when you're the only one, a single member LLC, a lot of times you won't even have an operating agreement.
So that's like, I'm an LLC, but I'm the only.
Yeah,
it's like I
so
don't have-
you would be fine. You really wouldn't need to have an operating agreement if you don't already have one. You know, just basic explanation like, you know, my taxes, I don't even have corporate taxes. I just put them on a Schedule C in my individual taxes.
Yeah.
We'll be like, okay, I mean, it's a small company. We understand that. It's a startup maybe and things like that. But with that, we will wrap it up. Thank you guys very much for coming. I appreciate it. And we will definitely, I'll be here to answer any questions after this is over, okay? Have a good